One big advantage of raising St. Croix sheep is that you don't need to buy a sheep chute or any type of sheep handling equipment. In the last 16 years of raising St. Croix sheep, the only equipment I've ever used to handle the sheep has been a shepherd's crook. Now, I'm not being paid to say this, but one of the best places to buy equipment for your sheep is at Premier One online. And they have this thing called a Kiwi crook. It's made by a family in New Zealand, and it works really, really well. It has this catch on one end that you can slip around a sheep's ankle, and it will catch their hoof. And it's got a locking mechanism so it can't come back out until you're ready to let go of the sheep. So after you get the sheep in the barn and it's trying to run away from you, you slip this crook end over the back leg of the sheep, and that lets you tackle the sheep and get it down to the ground. And with St. Croix sheep, you only have to put your hands on them like one time in their life when you're ready to either process them or sell them or cull them. It's not something you're going to be doing all the time. So they do run from you. Every sheep does. So you have to get them into a barn or some enclosed place where you can use the crook and catch the sheep. So I use a geodesic dome made out of PVC pipe. As a barn, it's about 25 feet across, about 500 square feet. It gets the sheep out of the weather, but also as a place where I can catch them. I have a woven wire fence zip tied to the struts around the side of the dome, and that keeps the sheep in there when I'm trying to catch them. And it's something I only have to do, once a year with just a few sheep, because I really don't have to give them any kind of chemicals or take care of them. Now, if I were raising a breed that wasn't parasite resistant, and I had to pump them full of these dewormers, then I would have to be dealing with the sheep on a more regular basis. And so I would need some sort of sheep handling equipment. Because if I'm dealing with like 50 or 60 head of sheep and dousing them with dewormers every 2 or 3 weeks, there's no way I could do that with a crook. I've got to have a chute to run them through. And the same is true if I had a sheep breed where I had to pump it full of antibiotics and all these different types of medicines to make it live. A lot of these commercial breeds, they've tried to maximize output, and they've never culled the sick. And the way they do that is by pumping them full of these medicines. And if you're going to do that, you've got to have a chute. So one of the biggest advantages of St. Croix sheep is that you don't have to put your hands on them. You don't have to do anything to them, so you don't need a sheep chute. So let's look at sheep chutes and how they're used. Now here's a really nice sheep chute or sheep handling package. It's only $11,000. And I know you might be considering that, well, the dewormers cost a lot, and also the antibiotics might cost a lot, but don't forget your sheep chute. Of course, if you don't mind scrimping a little bit, you might just get you this cheaper package for only $5,000. Then again, you could make your own sheep chute. This one's a DIY chute, and they run them back into a barn. The reason being, you kind of need it inside a barn because if you're going to make it yourself out of wood, it's probably going to rot out in the weather after a while, so it's really better to have it somewhere in an enclosed place. You'll also need some sort of crowding pen where you can put the sheep into an area and have some sort of a door that swings that pushes the sheep to go down into the chute in the first place. So there's a lot more to it than just a chute. You'll need some way to catch the sheep so you can pour all of your different dewormers into its mouth, and you can stick it with needles and put all your different kind of drugs and other stuff into it. And if that's the kind of sheep you want to raise, then you're going to need a chute to do all this stuff to them. But I've been raising sheep for 16 years, and I've never had the need for a chute because I don't have to do all that stuff to my sheep. My sheep are pure. They don't have all that garbage put into them. So I don't need a chute. I don't need a sheep chute or any kind of sheep handling equipment. And I don't need a chair for holding the sheep well, I'd trim its hooves or give it some sort of stupid manicure, because I never trim the hooves of my sheep. That's the most ridiculous stuff. You know, if I got a problem with the sheep and the sheep needs to have its hooves trimmed, I'd be out there all day trimming hooves from now until I die, because I got too many sheep and too many hooves to trim. If a sheep's got a problem with its hooves, I'd get rid of it. So the other day I had this sheep that was limping, and I started looking at it, and I thought, well, maybe if I could pull something out of its foot, you know, if there's something caught in there. But it didn't look like it had anything in there. It just looked like it had a tender foot. And I thought, well, it could have hoof rot, or it could have some sort of other problem. But if it does, and I help it, then it's going to pass those genetics on to the rest of my flock. And I really don't want it. So I thought I'd let it go for a few days. If it got better, fine, which it did. It got better, and after about 4 or 5 days, it quit limping. But if it had a real problem and I found it out in the field with a problem with its foot, I just process it. I just cull it and put it in my freezer. And that's the way I deal with sheep. That's the way everybody should. But the reason they do all these foot trimmings and things is because they want to maximize their output. They want to sell this sheep in the market. A lot of these sheep farmers, they don't eat their own sheep, okay? They put all these chemicals and everything on it, and they trim it, or they treat it for hoof rot. And the reason they do that is because they're going to sell every sheep they raise. Well, my answer is to eat the ones that need to be culled and act like a real predator, and try and take care of the problem that way, and not let this sheep breed its bad genetics into the rest of my flock. Because you want to improve the breed. So while I was researching this video, I ran into a lot of equipment from Australia, and some of this looks like what the Spanish Inquisition would use to make somebody talk or something. I've never seen anything like this. And the purpose of this table is so they can spray some sort of medicine in certain places on the sheep to spot treat the sheep, instead of just culling the sheep that have problems and letting only the strong survive. Here's another automated system from Australia, and right about here looks like the sheep's about to hit the fan, I think, literally, because they're doing something to the sheep to get it where it ends up on its back, and then they hoist it up. And what are they doing with these sheep down there that they need these kinds of machines? It looks pretty strange to me. Then they end up putting the sheep on some sort of conveyor belt. I still haven't figured that one out. Well, just to recap, you don't need all that with St. Croix sheep. You just need a shepherd's crook and a pen or someplace to catch them. You don't need all the dewormers, all the antibiotics. You don't need to trim their hooves. It's great for a person that's a homesteader, and that's what they're best for. Well, thank you so much for watching the video. Goodbye.